Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Léna and today we're doing a spring wrap-up. So I know that I've been away for a while, like for such a while that we're surpassed 1,000 subscribers, which is insane, but I don't want to take up like half the video like giving you guys an update on my life, so let's skip directly to the books I read this spring. So we're already halfway through July, but I really wanted to do this because I liked a lot of the books that I read in spring. So I read The Ex-Girlfriend of My Ex-Girlfriend is My Girlfriend, Lonely Receiver, Madame Bovary, The Decagon House Murders, One, and Ivanov. So the first book that I read, The Ex-Girlfriend of My Ex-Girlfriend is My Girlfriend, is by Maddy and illustrated by Kelsey Roden. It's basically an advice book on queer dating, love, and friendship. I think it's a compilation from an advice column that Maddy had a few years ago. I really like, first of all, the illustrations. They were very cute. I love how the color palette was very minimal but still vibrant, and I really liked the advice that was given, and it was very thoughtful, honest, even though sometimes it kind of had to be brutal, but it was never insensitive. I really also like the fact that Maddy brought on exterior contributors when there were questions that she couldn't really answer, like questions on race, gender identity, disability, and so overall I liked the feel of the book. Like it felt like it had this kind of warmth and honesty, and like even if Pride Month is over, like obviously people are queer all over the time are queer like year round, and so I think it's just such a cute book to give to like a baby gay or like someone who's trying to like find out more about their queer identity or like queer community, and it's such a nice like book that has a feeling of like found family almost. I don't know, I just really like the spirit of it. Then I read a graphic novel called Lonely Receiver by Thompson and illustrated by Jen Hickman. It's about this woman named Katrin, and she lives in a world where there's this company that uses artificial intelligence to basically create your ideal partner. She gets this like ideal girlfriend who I think is kind of an android. I don't know, it's not very clear what she is, or if she is even like actually corporeal. I don't know. They are together for a while until their relationship kind of starts to deteriorate. And then after an argument, her AI girlfriend disappears and she takes it very hard. Like she goes on a downward spiral, very depressed, and she kind of gets into this underground society at some point where she kind of pushes the boundaries of what that technology is able to do and what her body is able to undertake. I don't know, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it because at the same time it's definitely trying to make a point about like dating in the age of the algorithm and like transactional relationships, like confidence, body confidence, sex, and how it can be like liberatory but also harmful, and just overall our reliance on technology for our emotional needs or just our needs in general. But I don't know, I was just kind of like, I liked the illustrations, they were very beautiful. I think Jen Hickman did a great job of like showing how this world is futuristic and showing the science fiction elements of it, while also having kind of a tether to what we can recognize from our society, and playing with this idea of like breakup horror. So there are definitely horrifying elements, horrifying visual elements, and almost sometimes verging on body horror. I think what bothered me the most was how much naked bodies there are. Like, I understand that this talks a lot about Catherine's relationship to her body and sex, etc. But at some point, I was kind of tired of seeing like this naked lady. I was kind of like, okay, we get it. There is very little dialogue. It's a lot of kind of stream of consciousness style, and I just found that Catherine as a character was kind of hard to attach yourself to. Not that I'm not into unlikable characters, on the contrary, but I thought that she had like no redeeming qualities basically. She's just like super needy and obsessive and like, I don't know. I just didn't find any reason to root for her in any way. So that was kind of tough, but I don't know. I think it's a universe at least that has a lot of potential. And I would love to read another story set in this universe, but I guess this story in particular wasn't for me. I'm still glad that I gave a shot to like a sci-fi graphic novel because it's way out of my comfort zone. And it's still good to have like a few queer stories. So then I read Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert, which is a reread that was a long time coming. I love this book so much. It's one of my favorite classics, if not my favorite classic. It's about Emma Bovary, who is married to Charles Bovary, who's kind of a health officer. He's not really a doctor, but he can do like some doctor stuff. And she's very unhappy with her marriage. They live in this village in the northwest of France, and she's yearning for big city life and kind of this romantic ideal that she's read about in books and novels and stuff like that. And so she's very disappointed with their very mediocre petit bourgeois life. And so she takes matters into her own hands and decides to make choices that will spice up her life in the worst ways or the best ways. I don't know. She invented like main character syndrome. I love her so much. She's such a deeply flawed character. I mean, she lies, she cheats, she overconsumes. She's like, ugh, she's the worst, but I just find her so likable. I love this novel also, and I learned a lot from this reread, especially because it was a context of a class, and that it gave me a historical perspective of how to situate Emma in her historical moment in terms of like gender and like the socio-economic dynamics of the time, where she's this like basically middle class woman. Wasn't really a thing, but like this emerging middle class who basically dreams of aristocratic life, even as this aristocratic way of life is dying due to the changes brought about by the revolution, and then the First Empire, and then the Second Empire, and how France was such a politically turbulent country, and kind of still is, but yeah. And it's so interesting because she's this woman who is basically trying to exercise agency in this society that is still very restrictive towards women. And around her, there's this whole cast of characters that are all trying to social climb their way to like relevance. And how, I don't know, I just think it's so fascinating, like historically. And I think Flaubert has a voice that makes you understand how he sees this world and kind of lets you in on the joke. He's very sarcastic and has kind of a witty like way of writing that is so enticing. I don't know how this comes across in translations, but I really love this book a lot. And I think Emma is such an interesting character in terms of gender. Like she's such a weirdly assertive woman who knows how to play to her feminine wiles and pretend weakness to get what she wants. I mean, she's so interesting, and I love reading about her, and she's such a tragic character, and she's just... Anyways, I have so much to say about this book, and I tried to film a reading vlog, but it was during finals week, and I had 7 assignments, and I was very emotional, it was chaotic, it's completely unwatchable, but I definitely want to make a dedicated video on this book because it means a lot to me, and I think it's such a good case study of like if you read a classic without help, basically without like a teacher who is there to give you insight into why this was important or historical context on like why this is funny or why this was scandalous at the time, you're not going to appreciate it as much. And so I kind of want to do like a fun video like this on Emma Bovary. So I don't know, maybe. And then I read The Decagon House Murder. It's a reedition of a popular Japanese mystery novel by Yukito Ayatsuji, and it was translated by Wong. So it's about this group of students who are in a mystery writing club, and they decide to go on vacation on this murder island, which is, first of all, a terrible idea. What they don't know is that they've been led into a trap to murder them all. So it has this kind of Agatha Christie and then there were none idea, and it's very definitely wears its inspiration on its sleeve. I had fun while reading it, although I struggled during the first third of the book where I was kind of bored by all of the exposition and kind of the setting up of the chess pieces where you are told who all of those characters are, and it's not very entertaining, but once the murders start, it really gets going and it's a lot of fun. There's a huge plot twist that I didn't see coming, but I'm not a huge mystery reader, so I don't know how much a seasoned reader would expect it, but it's great until it's not. Like, I like the twist, but I don't like how much they explain it. I feel like it's over-explained and it kind of ruins the fun for me of figuring it out myself and like having the novel, pondering on the novel for a while, whereas they just give everything away, and so when you close the book you don't have any more questions. And so I was kind of disappointed by that. It's obviously a very plot heavy book. The characters are flat archetypes, and I like my character driven fiction, so I was kind of disappointed by that. But I don't know how easy it is to find like character driven mystery novels, so if you have recommendations for that, that would be good. But yeah, it was a fun read, but I'm not like, I wouldn't want to pick up anything like it again. I think if you like a twist on classics, and if you're maybe more knowledgeable about the Japanese cultural context, that would probably be more fun for you. I think I definitely missed clues and stuff like that by not knowing anything about either like Japanese cultural things or even mystery novels. I came into it like a complete like newbie, and I had fun, but it didn't mean anything to me in the end. But it was, I mean, you should read it, definitely. It's always good to read in translation anyways. Then I read Girl One by Sarah Flannery Murphy. This haunted me for a few days, actually. Like, I was really not feeling like I had a time. It's kind of a period piece. Can we say that about the 90s? Yeah. It's set between the 70s and the 90s in kind of an alternate universe where there's this scientist, this kind of mad scientist, who found a way for women to procreate without male DNA. And so this happened in the 70s in a kind of protected environment called the homestead. And this man, he helped 9 women give birth to 9 girls. But this kind of experiment was cut short by the death of the scientist and of one of the young girls. In the book, we follow Josephine, who is Girl One, the firstborn, and she has taken it upon herself to pick up where her brain father left and to study biology and recreate these experiments. And she's going about it in a very public way, attending very prestigious biology program until her mother suddenly disappears. And so she has to kind of interrupt her studies and try to find her mother. And while trying to find her mother, she kind of discovers a lot of stuff about her actual past, who her mother was. She learns to see her mother as like a woman, and just overall about herself. And I think it's the strength of this book is that there's element of like mystery and thriller where she's like going all over America on a road trip trying to find clues to where her mother could have been. And there's also an element of coming of age where she finds stuff about herself, she discovers stuff that she never suspected, and really she learns to let go of some of her preconceptions and ideas. And I think it's very beautiful that we had both this like drive moving the story forward that was very plot heavy, and then we had this how her character motivations and her desires kind of also moved the story forward. I think it was a very great mix of like action and introspection, and also I like the themes that it talked about, like reproductive choice and desire, and how having children is difficult. There's also queerness that is involved in it, and even though it was only briefly mentioned and not at all a major plot point, I appreciated how ideas of like class and race were also to some extent taken into consideration for within like the exploration of this experiment and the wide-ranging consequences of such a thing in American society, basically. I think it's so interesting because I was very worried going into it that we would face kind of a turf-y, like bio-essentialist book where like it's like, like, I don't know, I was very nervous that I would feel a lot of discomfort around how the idea of procreation without men or cis men would be taken. But I think it was handled in a way that is respectful and not like essentialist or accusatory. I really liked it. I thought it was brilliant. I really want to talk about it with everyone, basically, but yeah, if you read it, please leave a comment because I'm dying to have a discussion with anyone about it. So yeah. And then the final book I read in spring, it was a play by Anton Chekhov, Ivanov. I don't know why I keep reading plays expecting them to have like the narrative tightness of a novel. They don't. I was going along with it, I was reading it, but honestly, I don't really know what happened in it. It's about this guy who's pretty miserable, and his wife is sick and miserable as well. And then people around him are talking about money a lot and trying to social climb. Social climbing is like a huge thing, right? And I don't know, there's a weird anti-Semitism in it as well. I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I don't know how to rate plays because I think a lot of older plays are not very reader friendly. Like they're made for the stage. So reading it doesn't make a lot of sense. I feel like a lot of plays from the late 20th century are a lot more reader friendly. Like when you read, I don't know, Tennessee Williams, it's very easy to read it. Also, obviously, I read a Russian play. There were a lot of footnotes about like specific cultural Russian references that I didn't want to read because it was going to cut the flow of the thing, but like that also means that I didn't understand a lot of it. I'm not gonna rate it, like it makes no sense. And I'd rather like see a production of it, especially because the like performing arts definitely need eyes after like everything closed for a very long time. So like if I had an opportunity to watch it in person, I should definitely do that. But yeah, I don't know how to rate it. Yeah. Oh, I did encounter Chekhov's gun IRL, like for real. That was fun. That was in mid-May. And after that, I did not read a book for 2 months. And now I am reading like much more than I expected. I'm mostly listening to audiobooks, but having a lot of fun. I think I'm in a group of like 20 something coming of age stories from extremely not unstable, but women who have a lot on their plate. I'm on a like kind of literary fiction about like young women in their 20s kind of going through it. Yeah. I think this summer is going to be a good reading era for me. Definitely. Not my flop era. The opposite of it. That was my spring wrap up. I'm definitely gonna try to do like a live update video and try to set up something to celebrate 1,000 subscribers because I can't just ignore it, even if it gives me immense anxiety to think about it. But yeah, it was good to talk to you again. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye. Rainy day.